Because I never thought that like the music thing would actually work out. It was always just a hobby for me. Sorry. So my mom's always asking me like, what are you up to this week? What songs are you working on? And then like I'll show her songs and stuff, and then she'll be like, you know, this needs a little more punch. Like you need like a different thing. Yeah.
Hey guys, today I'm here with Manila Killa.
What up? What up?
We're in LA. My first legit since I moved here video interview.
Woo.
So we met like 3 years. Is it 3 years ago now?
Yeah, we met 3 years ago in New York City.
At like a Young Lean concert.
Yeah, it was Young Lean's first performance in the States, and who connected it? I think Brett.
It was Brett.
Yeah, Brett, my manager, connected us, and we were hanging out with AO Beats, and we all decided to go to a concert together.
I have a picture. I'm gonna put it here. The first picture I have with Chris from that night.
Oh man, we? Oh yeah, we did have pictures. Yeah.
I just was like, I'm probably gonna meet Andrew again. No, I have a picture with him. We hung out a bunch because you were interning there. Was it accounting or finance?
It was like weird. It was anti-money laundering at like an auditing firm in New York.
Yeah, okay, that's what we bonded over because I interned doing that like 3.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. You were doing like data entry or some crazy stuff like that. Oh, you still are?
Yeah, at Hypebeast.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then wait, was that internship like you just had to do it through your school or?
No, I just applied through it. Just like it wasn't through my school. My parents were just like, hey, you should do an internship this summer. And like at that time, I was just doing an internship after like every semester or like every school year. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just do that. But what I liked about it is that it brought me to New York, and New York was like the place to be.
Yeah, we met you met people before me a bit, but we also met like Mark Johns, and like
Sajib, Jai Wolf was hanging out with us too. Ethan, Robo Kid was there that summer. So like
everything pretty much happened that summer.
Yeah, like that's where it kind of like started for everybody. This is like where the first time we all connected and met.
So you were born in DC, right?
Yeah, I was born in Washington, DC, but I moved around a bunch because of my dad's job. So I've also lived in Indonesia and the Philippines as well.
So your parents were like born in Philippines?
Yeah.
They moved there for work? Or?
Yeah, they were both born in the Philippines, and then they both traveled to the States to give us a better life, their kids. So super thankful for them.
So your dad's like a government contractor?
Yeah, he's a contractor for the government. He works for mostly does work for third world countries. Yeah. So he's stationed in the Philippines right now.
And does your mom do similar stuff? Or?
No, she actually took off work to raise her kids. Okay. Now she's just chilling in Virginia. That's where I stay when I'm not out in LA and stuff. And yeah.
What age were you when you moved back to Philippines?
The first time I went back to the Philippines after I was born, I was actually only 2 years old.
Oh damn.
So yeah,
so you like barely remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, all I really do remember is moving around a lot.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. So like airplanes and stuff were just like a part of my life. So.
What was it kind of like growing up? Was it super like Filipino household, like really traditional?
I would say like it was a mix. Like my parents definitely taught us about the Filipino culture, and like we would eat Filipino food every night.
Yeah.
Like we would have rice with our meals like every day, which was amazing. In a sense, they kept that traditional, but in terms of like pop culture and like exposure to the outside world, they let us, explore westernized types of media and stuff. So I would say it was like
TV or online.
Yeah, both actually. Yeah. So they never like forced us to like learn about the Philippines. They sort of just like taught us about it and just told us about it. So it was like a mix of Western and Asian influences growing up.
What were you into back then when you were still in Manila? You started breakdancing, right? Like you didn't many interviews, but I remember you pictures breakdancing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you still do.
Yeah, I mean, that was just like a hobby that I picked up, and it was just like between me and my friends. Like, I mean, like I loved like all kinds of art growing up. Like I was really into like drawing and stuff. And then I was also really into music, and naturally I was into like the dancing and like the choreographing and stuff. And so yeah, in the Philippines, my friends and I started like a breakdance crew.
How old were you back then?
I was 14, I think, when I got into breakdancing.
Yeah.
And then I discovered music production when I was like 15. So breakdancing was like pretty short-lived, I'd say.
Who showed you music initially when you were 15?
No one really like showed it to me directly. We had a battle of the bands happen at my high school, and one of the guys that performed music off of a laptop that he made. Like that he made the music with a laptop, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So I started like exploring that, and then from then on, that's how I just got like super obsessed with music and stuff.
What kind of music were your parents playing growing up?
Oh my God, my parents loved like the really chill ballads, like the classical jazz. Like, dude, like every time we'd come home from like a family party, in like the minivan that my dad would drive, he would play like smooth jazz and stuff. So, and also honestly, I wasn't that into it as a kid. Like, I really wanted the energetic pop music, like the rock music and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But that's actually not. Is that really common to listen to like jazz music in Philippines? It's not really.
Not
right?
really, no.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people in the Philippines are really, they sort of like tag along to what Americans like. So you're definitely gonna see a lot of like Justin Bieber and stuff in the Philippines.
I think that's mostly like what
Yeah,
they listen to.
yeah, it's like all about like westernized culture over there. They just love what like America does.
Where do you think you got like your creative side from?
Wow, that's a good question because both my parents, like, they're not tone deaf, but I wouldn't say they're like incredibly talented musicians or anything. Like, they could play piano and stuff, and like I could sort of play piano, but the only reason why is because I memorize the notes and then I play it that way. Honestly, I'd say I get most of my creativity from my mom because I noticed that she like loves to paint, and when I was younger, I love to draw too. So, and my mom still like takes drawing classes and stuff. I think like the last one she went to was actually like last week. So yeah, so she's like still
cool.
so she's like still super into the arts, and I feel like that's where I got it from. But my dad also really appreciates music too.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'd say like a combination.
What subjects were you into back then? Were you like taking creative subjects?
I enjoyed both, honestly. I liked history a lot.
Oh, really?
Well, it depends what kind of history, and it depends what we were studying. I was really into like the Egyptians and like the Greeks and the Romans. I thought that was like really cool. But then like high school and in college, when I was like forced to take history courses, I started losing interest because we were studying like European colonies and stuff. I was like really into like the crazy like gods and stuff. But
are you still into it now? Do you watch?
I mean, honestly, I am. Yeah,
Netflix?
like yeah, for real. Like I mean, I love like Ancient Aliens. Whenever I find it like playing on the TV, I'll go and watch it because I think that stuff's like really fascinating.
Yeah.
But aside from that, creatively, yeah, I took like cello lessons. I took private
you were in
lessons.
the orchestra or something,
yeah, I was in the
right?
orchestra from like.
Did you like cello or was it just your parents?
I hated it. Honestly, like in the moment, like as a kid, being told what to do creatively, I hated that. Like I hated it when people were telling me what to do, when in terms of like creating art or like playing music and stuff. Like I just wanted to play it my way. I didn't want to go and like learn like, you know, the foundation and all that. But like looking back on it, I appreciate why I had to do that, like why I had to learn the basics, but at the time I like hated it. So that's why I like stopped doing orchestra like in 9th grade, I think. And then I just moved to like playing drums and guitar and stuff, like on my own, and I was not good at it either. So.
Wait, so how did you get into doing accounting for college? Did you want to go to college and do that?
It wasn't like a matter of choice, honestly. Like in the Asian culture, there's a set of expectations that you're supposed to meet. And one of those was to graduate with a college degree. So there was no choice when it came to like whether I was going to do college or not. So, and like I started off with accounting, and then I moved to finance as a major, and then I eventually moved to business management. And like all of these subjects, I would like, looking back on them again, I really appreciate everything I learned because like, yeah, maybe I'm not studying something that's directly related to the music industry, but like the concepts that I learned, I could really apply. So I'm like thankful for it, but like school and stuff was just something that like was always expected of me.
Yeah.
And I always just did it just because like that's all I knew.
But how did you choose those subjects? Out of all of those?
Well, I've always been like interested in how businesses work and like how people make money. So like when my parents were like, "What are you gonna do in college?" I was like, "Well, I guess business because that's the one that I'm like most interested in and the most useful anyways." So
yeah, and I guess they were like completely like, "Oh hell yeah."
Yeah, of course. They're like, yes, like, you know, like finally like he's gonna, you know, like actually do something and he's gonna be fine for the rest of his life and all that. But
you think if you weren't doing music, it'd be like accountant or investment?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh
if I
yeah, it up.
Yeah, I know. If I wasn't doing music, I would definitely be like sitting at a desk right now. Like at this moment. What time is it? Yeah, it's like
like
two.
lunch break?
Yeah, it's like 2:30 on the East Coast. I would definitely be on the East Coast. Yeah, I know.
But you had like difficulty fitting back into like the US culture, right? Like after
Yeah, I was like 13, 14 when I was in the Philippines, and I was kind of like stripped away from that culture that I got so comfortable in because we had to move back to the States. So I had like trouble like adjusting to like the kinds of like to the types of people here because I was so used to like my friends back in the Philippines. That was like the time where I like really sat down and just like worked on music and stuff. And it was still horrible for that entire year. Like my music was still so bad. I think that was like an important growing point in my career and my life too. So
culturally, was it like relationships or
I had difficulty finding people with the same interests as me because despite the fact that like the Filipino like people sort of like the Western culture, a lot of my friends dug deeper into that and were really into like independent and like the more underground music scene. So when I came to the States and like tried to talk to people about that, they were like, what is that? Like they were into like Kid Cudi and Kanye West and I love all those artists. But I was like, at the time, I was like really into like the underground scene, especially with acts like Justice and like Daft Punk. Like that wasn't really mainstream at the time because it was like 2009 and like electronic music still wasn't like that popping off yet. Like trying to talk to people about this newfound passion that I had and just like no one like understanding. So it was like a little tough for me.
People in Manila who showed you all this like electronic stuff then?
Yeah, basically,
cool.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I didn't like who would have known like I would have found all of this in like the Philippines. Well, thanks to my friends though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them were like super hip and stuff, and I was not. So, shout outs to them.
Was that around the same time that you joined all those like mashup groups?
Yeah. So like, yeah, I was like trying to find other people that like produce music as well, but there was no one around me. But like, thank God for Facebook and like SoundCloud and stuff. When I started posting my music, other people started noticing, and then I started getting added to like producer groups and stuff. And then I joined one called Mashers, and like we had people like Lau in the group. We had Cap Slap, and then it was like me, and it was like Jai Wolf was in it, but he was going by the name No Pets Allowed.
Oh yeah.
And he was making like dubstep mashups and dubstep remixes, and we were all making like this crazy EDM. But like I'm so thankful for that group because like I met like so many people that I still stay in contact with today because of that Facebook group. So
you were always like under Manila Killa, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so
is your old stuff still out?
It is actually. If you like look hard enough, a lot of my old stuff is online, but it's so bad. Like I've deleted so much stuff on my SoundCloud. Now I have like 20 tracks on there or something, but like, dude, I've released many tracks in my day, and a lot of them are like really, really bad. The reason why I'm like called Manila Killa in the first place was because my parents didn't allow me to use my own name, like my real name. Yeah.
Did you actually want to though?
Yeah, because like I was like, I don't want to come up with a name like Chris Gavino, like that's who I am. Might as well. So I started a MySpace, and I put tracks up, and then my parents found out, and then they were like,
find out?
I guess like I was just like showing them songs or something, and they were like, wait, you can't put your name on the internet and stuff. And I was like, what? Why not? And then they like explained everything to me, because I was like pretty naive at the time too. But then, so they're like, you need to come up with a name or just like stop making music under your name. And I was like, okay, fine. So then I was like brainstorming with my friend. I was like, I literally have no idea what to call myself. And at the time, this was during the period where I was like back in the States after like discovering electronic music in the Philippines. And so I was just like talking with my friend online, and he was like, why don't you just call it Manila something, you know, to like pay tribute to where you like found music and stuff. I was like, yeah, sure, Manila, but I can't just be Manila, because if you type that into Google, no one's gonna like, no one's gonna find it. So then my friend was like, Manila Killa. And I was like, okay, sure, fuck, whatever. Like, I don't care at this point. Yeah. So then that's what happened. I think it's a pretty cheesy name, honestly, and it sounds like super aggressive for the type of music that I make, but I just like it stuck, and I like never changed it.
Did you ever think of like changing it, like maybe moving on from like your mashup?
Honestly, I never did, because I never thought that like the music thing would actually work out. Like it was always just a hobby for me, so like I was like, I don't really care that much about the name. Like I just want to put music out, like it doesn't matter. So then, but then like I started getting a lot of traction, but like after that, I was like, if I do change my name, people are gonna like forget who I am and stuff. Like, it's gonna be hard to find me again.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just gonna keep it and see where it goes. So.
Where do you think you got your initial attraction from?
So I made a remix of Don Golden's song "All I Want."
Oh, really?
Yeah, that one.
I didn't realize that was like the main thing that brought you traction.
I think. I mean, like I had a couple songs before that were like slowly building. But that was nothing compared to like what that song did for me, because first of all, I wasn't even gonna put it out. I made the remix and I was like, this sounds too much like Kygo. But then Mark Johns was like, no, Chris, you have to put this out. It's good. And I was like, ah. So I put it out on my birthday in 2014, which was like the summer we met actually.
Yeah.
And then after that, Mad Decent heard it and like they signed it to the record label and they used it in like their after movies. And then I started getting asked to like play shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I feel like that was like the one song that really like changed everything for me.
How long did it take you to get your parents' approval?
Oh man, it's been an ongoing battle, but the summer of 2015 was the first summer that my parents let me pursue music on my own and not do an internship.
Yeah.
So basically that was my summer to prove to them that like this could work.
It's actually interesting.
Sorry.
I was thinking about it. Of all the Asian countries, I feel like Philippines are the most open to arts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because like a lot of like dancers, singers come out of Philippines. And I guess it's your parents are more like you to find like a stable job.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there are two types of Filipino parents. There's the ones who are just like they encourage their kid to do whatever they want and they will back them no matter what. And then there are also those Filipino parents who are like, no, like, what are you thinking? Like, you have to have a stable job. You have to provide for your family and stuff. And, like, I came from that kind of family, but I was lucky enough to, like, have a chance to explain to them why I want to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it took a while.
Mom, right? Was that
yeah. So I brought my mom to, like, her first show of mine back in 2015. Yeah, 2015. And after that night, that's when she was like, okay, like, this is actually real. Like, I'm actually, like, bringing people out and stuff. Because before that, like, yeah, I was making music and I was putting it out online and, like, you could see the numbers and stuff, but that doesn't translate to what it's actually like to see people in front of you, like, enjoying your music. So that's kind of what my parents needed to see before they let me do this.
Are they completely, like, let loose with you now, or are they still, like...
No. They're still, like, they're definitely still guiding me, like... My mom still gives me so much advice. Like every time I come back home, she always has like new suggestions and stuff.
Really? Like,
yeah.
how?
Like okay, so like I'm very transparent with my parents about like my music. So my mom's always asking me like, "What are you up to this week? What songs are you working on?" And then like I'll show her songs and stuff, and then she'll be like, "This needs a little more punch. Like you need like a different
Really?
sing." Yeah. And like I think her advice is like really important to consider because I'm surrounded by other producers who are super nitpicky with how music sounds like.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes it's really important to get the point of view from someone who has no idea how the technical side works. And someone who's used to hearing music on the radio and like hearing all the hits and stuff. Yeah. So like I think
she has had like more years of experience listening to music than all of us.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like she knows what's like a hit or not. And like yeah, cuz like my parents were super into like the ballad pop music as well. So I feel like that's where I got my like pop mentality from too. Was from them listening to that stuff.
Yeah. Were they ever like, oh, I don't like your lyrics, or certain like branding that you've ever
done?
Oh
yeah, definitely. Like my mom's definitely like guided me in terms of branding. Like she always wants me to make sure that like I show myself as a decent person and like I had like a decent upbringing and stuff, and like I'm definitely down to like, I'm not like a crazy, wild, trashy person, so I definitely owe it to my parents for guiding me the proper way.
How do you think you've changed since you started putting out music, like your 15-year-old self?
Oh man, so much. Oh man, where to begin? I mean, I guess the most obvious thing is that I appreciate different kinds of music so much more ever since I understood how much goes into like recording and producing music. Like at the time when I was 15, I was trying to make like the loudest, the craziest, like the bangers, if you will. Like I was just trying to make stuff like that, and I wasn't really paying attention to the musicality and stuff. But like the more that I studied how people produce, and the more I got onto YouTube and looked up how producers like produce and why they do you know, like why they use certain techniques and stuff, I was able to like really appreciate music. And like even now, like I used to hate like orchestra music and symphonies and stuff because of like the cello. I was forced to like play it, but now I like appreciate how much like talent really goes into writing a symphony or like writing that kind of music.
How about like personal growth? There's like three cards like Atlas.
Personal growth? Oh man, honestly, I still feel like I'm 15 at heart, and people definitely say that, but I'm definitely not as irresponsible as I was once upon a time. Like I've definitely grown up as like a person, as a grown-up would grow up. I'm definitely not like a kid anymore, but I still am very like lighthearted, I'd say. So I wouldn't say much has changed, but I'm definitely just more responsible.
How about what would you tell like your younger self starting out?
Oh man, if I was able to tell my younger self, I would tell him to put all your energy into making music.
Wow,
because like at the time I was ignoring my passion, and that's probably like one of the worst things I've done to myself. Like I was like, oh yeah, like I think about it 24/7, but I got to do this homework. Like I wouldn't tell myself to neglect my homework, but I tell myself to take music a little more seriously, because I was kind of flip-floppy with music for like the past like 5 years. I was like trying to convince myself that I don't need to go down this career path. I should just do, you know, get the stable job and stuff. But like I would tell myself to like make up my mind sooner.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. But definitely not drop out, because I don't think that's a good idea. That's
Last question.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, I mean, the most simple answer for that is my music. Like, dude, my music is like a direct expression of like my emotions and my feelings on a day-to-day basis almost. So if you hear my song, like, let's say I just put out like I'm Okay like a couple months ago, that's a direct expression of how I felt at that time. So you're sort of getting like a timeline of my growth from when I was younger to like now. And like if you compared my music when I was 15 to now, my music when I was like 15 was loud, like really bad, and like just like too much energy. But now I'm sort of mellowed out, and I'm sort of making what I've like always wanted to make.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you.
No, of course. Thank you.
Bye.